Hello and welcome to InSync Marketing Presents Business Casual. I'm Zach Knightsky and this is the Livestream Talkshow of businesses of all sizes. You know, I was actually thinking about changing up the way I do the introduction, but like, hey, welcome to Business Casual. But you know what they say? If it ain't broke, you're not using it enough. Anyway, we've got three phenomenal new guests for you tonight. And like I always say, I said that last week and it's still true. So we're going to bring these guys in here now. While waiting for them, how are you guys? Hope you guys are having a grand old week. Everyone's coming in here just about a sec here. Okay, Sarah, Nikki, and Satch, can you guys all hear me?
Mm-hmm. I can hear you.
Yeah.
Top banana. Can't see anybody yet, but that's okay. How's everybody's day going?
Good, thank you.
Good. Okay, Satch and
there we go.
Sarah are there, and we're just waiting for Nikki's glorious face. Satch and Sarah, what's going on with you? There she is. I do want to hear what's going on with you guys, but I just want to make sure we were all here first. So hello, this is the crowd. Satch, Nikki, and Sarah, hope you all, this is the best kind of introduction when nobody's in the same room. Nikki, can you hear us okay?
I can hear you. I'm just trying to get grid view up.
Top banana. Okay, so before we get started and let everybody introduce themselves, I just want to say, to everybody out there for watching, thank you for watching. We do appreciate it. If y'all could go ahead and share the stream, that's great because that helps helps to get the word out. And remember what I always say: only you can prevent low view counts. Also, feel free if you guys have any questions to chuck them in the comments. We will be having a Q&A session. And hey, if you guys have any questions for each other, we'll have time for that too. But yeah, so let's let everybody introduce themselves and we're going to figure out who's going to go first. We're going to play a little game called Is Your Name Satch?
That's me.
Yes, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Satch Herrmann. It's nice to meet you guys. Nice to be on with you, Zach. I live in Hollywood, California, and I work as a real estate agent here in LA, Greater Los Angeles. I've been doing it for about 3 to 4 years now. And yeah.
Fantastic. You guys here's a little insight about Satch. He has a very strong personal relationship with the world famous Alyssa in the Kitchen, who was a guest on one of our most viewed shows ever.
She is the reason that I'm on here. So thanks to my fiance, Alyssa, for pushing me to do this because I don't normally do stuff like this, which is great.
Shout out to Alyssa. Okay. Okay, Sarah, I didn't even say the line. You got to tell us who are you and what are you doing here?
Who am I and what am I doing here? So my name is Sarah Zandbergen, and I'm the Senior Program Specialist for STNCE, which is powered by EQ Bank. And we are a movement to encourage women to be more financially confident and take financial ownership. I live in Toronto, Ontario, and I have started the habit of doing Zoom calls with my cat because she just won't have it any other way.
And I have a feeling we'll be seeing at least one cat at some stage of the night. Also, as I do also like to say, there's a lot of repeatables. But yeah, if you hear a dog barking, that's my dog Baloo, probably barking at nothing. So Nikki, who are you and what are you doing here?
Who am I? That's a good question. I don't know who I am. Now I'm Nikki White, and I live in Toronto as well. And I'm a graphic designer by day and artist by night. So during the day, I'm a graphic designer for a media company. And at night, I run my kind of side business, which is Glitter Bones Boutique.
Okay, awesome. That's the most upbeat anyone's ever told what their night job is when they use the phrase by night. Like, by day, I'm a mild-mannered graphic designer, but by night, I run Glitter Bones Boutique.
Exactly.
Okay, well, now that the movie voice has gotten out of the way, we're going to get down to the nitty gritty. So yeah, we're going to start with Sarah this time. Sarah, tell us all about STNCE and what they do and why they're so great and what makes them stand out from everybody else.
I'd love to. That's a great question. So I consider myself endlessly lucky to be able to say that I'm the main ambassador for STNCE. So STNCE was born at EQ Bank. One of our senior vice presidents, Kim Kuklowitz, who is the reason that I'm here tonight, pioneered STNCE. She was doing some, looking around the office and having conversations and realized that a lot of the women in our office, and I mean, we're a bank, we're all financially savvy, they were deferring ownership of their finances to their spouse. And so Kim, we opened up this conversation a little bit further. We got some research done and realized that the financial literacy gap between women and men is actually not as expansive as we thought it was. It's only about 10%, but where the gap really is the financial confidence. And STNCE was born. STNCE aims to close that confidence gap. And, you might be thinking, well, there's so many financial literacy programs out there for women, but we feel like we are not in competition with any of them. In fact, we feel like we have what we call the missing ingredient, and that missing ingredient is confidence. So we have the platform, which is stance.ca, and that's STNCE.ca. So don't forget to forget the A. And we have guest speakers. We had events where we were allowed to be in the same room with each other. So now that's going to be migrating online for the near future, and informative articles, a glossary. There's all sorts of great information on there, so you can really introduce yourself to finance at no matter what your level is.
That's awesome. I feel like, you guys really helped identify a gap. And it's a gap that definitely could help a lot of people out. Also, the best thing about don't forget to forget the A is I'm super good at forgetting things. Okay, Nikki, why don't you tell us all about how you got started and what you do and what makes you so special?
So special.
So special.
So I think, like, as a creative person, actually, I always find it interesting for people that aren't creative. Something I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but during my day job, even though it is a creative job, it's still not my art. At the end of the day, I'm doing something for a corporation, and it's really not mine. So, to like myself and other people in creative industries, we all kind of have our passion on the side, which is also art as well. And so we do that to stay sane, because that's really what we love doing versus designing for a client. And so out of that, and just kind of my background in fine arts, it kind of morphed into this design, like Glitter Bones Boutique kind of came from my love of fashion and just wanting to express myself and being able to wear things that I've made. And it's just a lot of fun.
That sounds super fun. And I definitely, having been in the design field, I'm not a designer, but I have worked with designers, I manage designers, and I can definitely understand how, we've mentioned many times on the show the struggles the designers go through while dealing with clients. The logo doesn't need to be bigger. It doesn't matter. You don't need to move that up and to the left.
Or I'll know it when I see it.
Yeah. I don't know what's wrong with it. Just start over. But yeah, you definitely, I'm glad you have this outlet to, retain your sanity, because that is a critical element. So yeah, Satch, tell us your origin story and what makes you stand out from everybody else.
Yeah, so real estate's always been, it's kind of been an evolution. We talked about that a little bit, Zach, but to what Nikki was saying, I basically now have tied it in with my passion, which is, I love sports, but I'm a golfer. And golf has been a great way for me to incorporate that into, what I do. And so I've kind of, blended those two things. And ultimately, I kind of look at real estate as like, down the line, if I come up with an idea or figure something out to change the game, that would be great. But it's not like you're really reinventing the wheel. I've worked for a big brokerage. The company that I work for is Sotheby's, and it's a big international brand. But as far as what I can do for my clients, I use golf for the networking. And then when it comes to trying to hone in on things within golf, I try to play in as many charity golf events as I can, and meet people who are inspired by different organizations and groups, to whether it's helping veterans or cancer, St. Jude's. So I try to do as much as I can within golf, and it's just a great way for me to kind of connect with a broader community and get involved in things that I wouldn't necessarily be involved with without that. So that's kind of the inspirations, because I feel like as much as I try to help myself, helping others and giving back just keeps the momentum and keeps me, driving forward. And then, as far as specific clients, just doing what I can to help the people that I work with to accomplish the goals, that as long as I can wake up and realize hey, this isn't just about me and people that I deal with on a day-to-day basis, whether I'm tired or not feeling, the most motivated day to day or week to week. I have to just kind of take a step back and realize, like, who needs me, who's relying on me, and what can I do for others to help, to help myself and help them.
That's great. And I've heard it somewhere before. I was watching a masterclass on advertising, and they were talking about, giving back in one form or another, whether it's doing free work or like playing in charity golf tournaments. And the thing about it is, like, yes, it's good for you and you can get work benefits out of it. At the end of the day, like just helping people in whatever format you do is it's just good, and just do it. Simply
right.
Put. But you touched on something, Satch, and I guess you can start with us. And something I think people really want to know more about is networking and, getting new clients and getting new business. And you touched on with the charity golf tournaments. But what are some other tactics you found as a great way to just improve, and even how when you're in those spaces, connecting with those people to turn them into a prospective client?
Sales it's always a tough business, no matter what sales you're doing. And ultimately, my job is lead generation. I mean, the more people that I can get in front of and talk with, connect with, and that's really the main difference. I mean, some people they want what they want, and you're not gonna win everybody over. I want to feel like I'm a nice enough guy. I'm understanding. I want to sit and listen to what your needs are. But some people just want, the information, or they don't want to be bothered. So, you just do as much as you can and just try to stay consistent to, kind of those core values. It's like you try to be honest, you work hard, you follow up. But at the end of the day, you're not going to win every piece of business. And, I've tried to diversify my lead sourcing. As obviously for me, referrals is number one. I try to, as many people as I've worked for and bought and sold with, just having them be my cheerleaders and say, how was your experience? What did you gain from working with me? And, what could I have done differently or more that would have enhanced your experience or made things better? And then just try to take that inventory for myself, and then use that for other people as well. And get those people to kind of refer me to others. Because if I helped you, then hopefully I can help somebody that you know as well.
Awesome.
But besides just the referral, because you can only rely so much on, it's people aren't buying and selling homes, every other day. You have to try to find lead sources with people who are actively in the market, who you probably don't know and you've never talked to before, but you have to figure out new ways to try to gain that business. And sometimes I was really fearful of jumping into that space, because I'm not the salesy type necessarily. I don't like to, call people and bug people. But it's what you have to do to gain business in other areas.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense. Nobody really likes to, bug people unless they're like those super hardcore salesmen. But I'm sure we've all been to those networking events where, like, you go and you meet somebody like, hi, so are you trying to get money out of me, or am I trying to get money out of you?
Yeah. I mean, just trying to be as normal as possible, but to let people know. And honestly, I've done that more recently, where instead of trying to dance around it, I can tell at this point now, I can kind of tell when someone is like, hey, I'm not really interested, or I'm not ready yet. I basically just lay it out and say, look, I'm not going to bug you. However, I am persistent. And whether you guys are buying or selling in, a week or a year or 5 years, I would like to represent you and be the one that you choose to work with, because I can do all these things for you. So when you're ready, I'm here. Just call me. And it's kind of like explaining that to them. They're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like, and I don't know. It's kind of it's a fine line, but you got to do what you got to do.
So what you're saying is you don't have the Dwight Schrute approach of do it now, 5, 4, 3, do it. Buy the house. Anyway.
He's one of my heroes, but yeah, try to balance that.
That's an entirely, if we can have an entire show on opinions about Dwight Schrute. Nikki, how do you expand your network and get new clients?
So I think that's something that I definitely need help with, because on the creative side and actually like coming up with products, getting them manufactured, making them myself, that's all good. But when it comes to networking and marketing or even financials, I feel like that's kind of my blind spot. And for what I do, since it's like an online store, so I sell online, but one of the biggest things for me is when I'm doing face-to-face things like at conventions or markets. So like the Fan Expo is like the biggest show for me, because I'm meeting kind of like-minded people and having that face-to-face connection, and they are seeing my products, like versus online where I feel like I'm lost in a sea. If people just don't know I'm there, and that's when I feel discouraged. But then when I do these shows, you see people come up to my booth and they're looking at, like, I have a pin that says "trying and crying," and people will look at it and they're like, "Oh my gosh, like that's my life. That's so relatable. It's so funny." So that kind of gives me hope, and I'm like, okay, I'm making good stuff. It's just finding my people. So
yeah, your niche.
I'm still learning about that, and I'll try to watch YouTube videos and stuff and kind of just put myself out there.
Oh, no, listen, nobody's going to know everything about anything. Like there's plenty of people who like, oh my God, I can get people, but oh my God, what do I do when I've got them? So
Yeah.
it's always about knowing what your strengths are. And, we all try to work on what we work on to make ourselves, as much of an all-rounder, but at the same time, it is also good to niche down.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's nice to have a team. Like if someone has a team, because obviously that's where everybody plays to their strengths. But if it's just me, I'm like, I can only do what I can do and try to learn more. But
I'm only one person.
Exactly.
Okay, Sarah, before I want to know your side of it. But I just wanted to let you know my sister has come up with a great hashtag for you. It's called #Femnantial Literacy. She also came up with the hashtag. It says #I don't know what's wrong, but just start over. But anyway, yeah. So Sarah, tell me, how do you guys find new networking opportunities and prospective people to come into your courses and content, things like that?
That's a great question. So it's just as difficult if what you are giving away is free. I'll let you know that. All of the advice that we give away is obviously free. And the events, I mean, we've done events in the past where it's a very nominal fee to get in the door. We've done events with people like Manjeet Minhas from Dragon's Den. Michelle Romanow was our guest speaker at our launch. And honestly, when I took on this role, I told my mentor, I said, I will talk to anyone at any time about STNCE. You won't be able to shut me up. And I've done that. So for me, it's going out and meeting new people, going to as many events as possible where, as Nikki said, your people are, and finding your audience. And I've noticed that it's kind of bittersweet, because now we're in this really unique circumstance where we're all kind of in our homes, and we can't meet and greet the way we used to. But it was really that human touch was really fantastic when you can separate yourself from the noise of online, because there is a ton of noise out there, and you really have to find a way to separate yourself. And something that kind of I noticed both when Satch and Nikki were both talking, something that I kept reflecting on was how authentic you both are. And I think that that's the key, is authenticity. And, yes, we're powered by EQ Bank, but we really have to make sure that the message that we're putting out there is, you know what? Yeah, sure, we're a bank, but we actually care about our clients. And we're not going to just, blow smoke. And I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on here, so I won't.
Go for it.
But truly, and I was talking to one of my colleagues about this today, and something that I really want to keep through as many years as we do STNCE, and I hope it's several years, is that authenticity, because we really do want women to take that financial ownership, and we want everybody to be educated, and putting that message forward is our number one priority. So trying to get that message out there, obviously it's it's online, it's events, it's telling your friends and family. And I mean, when I started in marketing years ago, and in a very different, in the mortgage sphere, I think it was people had to hear something 7 times before they actually took action. And I think now it's more like 30, if I'm right?
Yeah.
So, it's changed a lot. So I'm someone who, like Satch, you were saying, you don't want to bug people, and, you don't want people to get sick of you and say, no, Sarah, I don't want to hear about Stance again. But I need to tell people 30 more times. And I just, kind of get used to, well, oh, it's Sarah, and she's going to tell me about Stance again. And maybe this will be the time that I have a look and benefit from what we're putting out there. So.
Well, I have a couple of thoughts on some of the things you were saying. Number one, it is sometimes harder to get people to go for free things and things you have to pay for. I used to be and manage brand ambassadors who would give away samples of alcohol in LCBO, which, Satch, just for your context, is liquor is regulated by the government in Ontario. So we have special government regulated stores called LCBO. And we would give away samples of just hey, try this beer, try this scotch, whatever. To get people to drink this stuff was sometimes like pulling teeth. It was impossible. Now, granted, sometimes you were in a store at 11 a.m. trying to give away liqueur. Bad idea, whatever. But on a normal day, try this beer. Oh, what did you do to it? Nothing. But what you were saying about, not wanting to bug people, Satch and I were talking about this in his pre-interview that a couple of weeks ago, we had a real estate agent was saying she follows up with people 7 times before she finally cuts bait. And, it's not everybody does it, but, people really do need to be followed up with. And obviously you don't want to bug them, but you have to, Satch, I was saying, ride it out, feel it out. But the persistence is a critical element. But on that note, within the persistence, you need to have something that drives you. You need to make you something, you need to have something that's going to make you say, hey, I need to keep doing this. This is a bad day. I don't want to do this, but I'm going to keep doing it anyway. So I want to hear what drives you guys. So Sarah, let's start with you this time. What drives you?
For me, what drives me is helping people. That is my absolute passion. I remember a year ago now, I guess, I went to an event and spoke about Stance. And when I walked off stage, a young woman walked up to me and she said, oh my gosh, can I give you a hug? And I think I said something like, I'm not Taylor Swift, right? I don't know who else is here that you might
want.
With
that attitude.
So she gave me a big hug and she said, I really want to thank you for sharing your story because it allowed me to share mine. And this woman she got into a marriage really young. She got into it. Well, she didn't. Her husband got them into a ton of debt and ended up leaving her with a whole lot. And she worked months and years and finally clawed her way out of that debt. And she said, this was March. She said, by June this year, I'm going to be debt free. And I don't tell this story because every time I tell one of my friends this story, they say to me, well, it was really your fault. You got yourself into this circumstance. So I shy away from telling this story. And I said to her, I'm glad you told me, and please continue to tell it. Those people that are telling you that it's your mistake and that you're stupid for getting yourself, just don't listen to those people, because those people didn't get you out of debt. You did. You did this for yourself. So let's turn this into a win for you and, make it a story that you share. And on top of that, if she continues to share it, maybe she'll teach someone else. How else do we learn? By hearing and asking questions and growing. So that, honestly, I'll never forget that. I'll never forget her, because those are the things that just at the end of the day, if I have that rough day where, nobody wanted to talk to me and, nobody signed up, I think back on that and I think, you know what, I made a difference and Stance made a difference. And what, ultimately Kim put out there when she founded it, it's doing its job. So that for me is what keeps me moving.
Okay, amazing. Although I will say, and it's a wonderful story, I would also suggest to that friend or that person who told you the story that she needs new friends because those friends sound terrible. Hey, you almost got out of debt, but you're stupid for getting into debt in the first place. Honestly.
Is that she inspired me, and something that I now do when I speak in front of audiences is tell, and this is a story for a whole nother day, my biggest money screw up, which has taught me a lot as well. So, it's a domino effect.
Mm-hmm. And that also helps with the relatability factor as well. Okay, so Satch, tell us, what drives you to do what you do?
It parallels with what Sarah was saying, and I look at what I've learned in the last couple of years and doing real estate more consistently is the problem solving aspect of it, and how it just is so relatable to life. It's everything that I deal with, whether it's stress of sitting in traffic, driving to work, something bad happens, somebody cuts me off, I get in a fender bender, and I realize, like, how do I fix this? How do I deal with this? And in real estate, it's kind of, I mean, ultimately, yeah, it's helping people and seeing them achieve the goals that they want to accomplish and doing it together. Because I really feel like people are always like, thank you so much for, helping us get this all done and blah, blah. And it's like, we did it together. Yes, I'm your agent and I help you, with the flow of the transaction, and we do everything, but it's like, we do it as a team. But there's always stuff that comes up. Like the last transaction I had, one of the workers drove into the house and wrecked the entire front of the garage with like a week or a week and a half left to close. And, instead of panicking and freaking out and all this stuff, it was like, how do we fix this? But there are certain things that happen where stuff doesn't always go your way, or a client, you think that I've had clients where I've worked with them for 6 months to a year, and it's because it's the same deal. It's like, I don't get paid anything to help until the deal is closed, and it's actually the seller paying me, not the buyer. But what happened was, and I'll just share this story because it was really touching. But one of my friends through golf, he and his wife were just starting the process of trying to find a home, and it was kind of like everybody knows 50 different people that are in real estate. Oh, I got a cousin, I got a friend. Everybody knows everybody that sells real estate. So I talked to Blake and basically asked him, like, what can I do to earn your business? And it was kind of like, well, if you can do this, this, and this, then, then we would definitely love your help. And his wife, Monica, was kind of on the fence because she had a really close friend that sells real estate. And they have a son who had some severe heart problems, and he ended up passing away several years ago. So we found a home in Ventura, one of the cities that I work in, and it was basically like the perfect home for them. The backyard had, of all things, had a heart-shaped pool, and they were like, and Monica works for the American Heart Association. She volunteered. She's amazing. So it was kind of like this, serendipitous thing, like, oh my God, a heart-shaped pool, really? This is so crazy. And we wrote an offer, didn't get accepted, but it was just kind of like the connection of, I saw them after I showed them other homes after the fact that we didn't get that offer accepted, and they were so dejected and let down. It was like, oh, we missed out on the perfect house. And it was just like, you know what, anything could happen, and we just have to stay positive and think good thoughts. Sure enough, like a week later, I got a call from the agent, and they said, hey, the other offer fell through, and you guys are our first position backup offer. So it turns out they got the house, and it was just like this ideal situation. And just seeing the joy of like them getting that house after they thought they had lost it, it was one of the coolest things ever. So that's why I love doing what I do, because 9 times out of 10, it may not work out, but for that one time that it does, it makes it all worth it.
For sure. Thank you for sharing. That was a really good story. I really enjoyed that. And people don't always, we were actually talking a couple of weeks ago about the difference between passion and purpose. And, passion is something you're really driven to do and you want to help people, but even, a purpose is something that you can do for a job that, yes, you're making money about it, whatever, but it's still a drive to want to help people and make something good happen out in the world. And I think that's a really great example of that. Okay. Nikki, it's quite a thing to follow up, but so what drives you?
I was going to say, you guys had great stories, heartwarming, touching. Mine, not so much. Just what drives me is I love doing what I do. Like when it's your own artwork, it's like when you're painting a painting, it's a hobby, and I'm able to turn that into a side business. So, and it's really rewarding because when I was doing the fine art thing after school, it's like whether it was photography or painting, any of this creative stuff is so subjective, but I would show in galleries and it's just kind of like the same old, never selling stuff. Competition, and then you don't like other contemporary art, but that's what's popular. So doing my own designs and getting it like made into a tangible object and seeing somebody else react to it, like laughing about it or being like, I love this design, it's the same feeling from when you're making a painting or whatever fine art. Like that is your work and someone either relates to it or they love the design, and that's what keeps me going. And I just love doing it.
I mean, I definitely get that. It's always super rewarding when you can sort of have an image in your head of something and then you can make it and it's yours and somebody actually wants to buy it. It's a very unique feeling.
Yeah, it's something you made.
It's like when somebody likes a photo of Baloo on Instagram. I made that. Okay, so we're about halfway through the show. So I'd like to take this opportunity to just reintroduce everybody. We've got Satch Herrmann, who is a real estate agent over at Sotheby's International. We've got Sarah Zandbergen, who is one of the leads over at STNCE, which is a group powered by EQ Bank to promote financial literacy and independence with women. And we have Nikki White, who is the owner at Glitter Bones Boutique, who makes fantastic designs and accessories and clothes. Before we get back into it, I just want to say I want to go through the comments. Apparently, Alyssa cries every time she hears Satch's story with RJ Pool. There's a lot of love for Sarah right now. Oh, actually, Dina Grossi is going back and forth between Satch and Sarah. Thanks, Sarah, for being a champion at Drive Financial Literacy. Also, great story, Satch. But then I'm seeing, Sarah Ferrano saying Sarah is such a great and positive listener. Let's see. Tarun Suri says, go Sarah, way to represent. Kim Kuklevitz says, Sarah is amazing. So just remember, guys, obviously this is a huge popularity contest. So make sure you throw all the love in the chat. Otherwise, we're not going to know who the most popular kid in school is.
Can I just say, all of you who commented, thank you so much. Those are all my colleagues at Equitable, and I'm getting emotional. This is one of the reasons I love doing what I do as well, because my colleagues are freaking superstars, and I love you all.
You reminded me of if anybody watched Saturday Night Live in the 80s, I'm getting a little verklempt. So work amongst yourselves. The combustion engine is not an engine, nor does it combust. Discuss.
You're pretty good at that, Zach.
Thank you. Nikki, my sister says, go Nikki. Also, Dina Grossi has now said, Nikki, thanks for smiles you give people with your art. So there you go. Guys, remember, if you have any questions, we're going to have a Q&A session in a little bit. So throw your questions in the chat for all our phenomenal guests, and we're going to get back into it. So now I want to talk about something, the big thing in the world right now is the COVID situation. We've all felt in one way or another at this stage of the game in varying degrees. So I want to hear from you guys, how COVID's affected your business, what you've done to adjust, things like that. And Nikki, we'll start with you.
Sure. So the biggest thing, which I already mentioned, is that I can't do in-person events, and that's kind of where I make most of my sales just because of the foot traffic. So that's been a real bummer, especially since I had lots of plans this year. And also at the start of 2020, I kind of was being my own salesperson and being very persistent and reaching out to different stores to get them to stock my product. And things were going well at the beginning of 2020. I got into a bunch of different stores, like in Canada and the US. And then COVID happened. So not only can I not do shows, but any stores that were carrying my products also closed. And those sales were very minimal compared to when they were open. So kind of to pivot and combat as much as of that that I could, I changed my website host. So like the website that hosts my stores. So now I'm on Shopify, and I spent quite a bit of time just redesigning everything, shooting product, getting it up there, inventory, blah, blah, blah. And before I had done this, most of my online sales were through Etsy because, again, the foot traffic, so to speak, on Etsy is built in. So like they're a search engine, people can find you easier. That's the appeal of Etsy, but then they have their fees. So I did have my own website on the side of that, but I wasn't making that many sales because again, unless you know it, then you're not visiting it. But now that I've got my Shopify going, right when this kind of COVID thing hit, I've seen more sales in my personal website than I ever did in like 5 years. I've been doing glitter bones on my original one. So I don't know what exactly with the internet and algorithms and stuff it is I have to thank for that. But that's at least a positive that I've been seeing more online sales from me directly. And I really hope that that's a good sign, because if things are kind of slow right now and people, obviously want to save their money, if I'm able to bump up my online sales, hopefully moving forward and out of this, I can kind of keep going from there.
Yeah, I mean, that's great that we've often said that like COVID's a really, sucky situation, yet it kind of forced you to then go and make a new e-commerce site, which then did help boost the sales, which you may or may not have done had COVID not hit.
Yeah, exactly.
So you did result in this more positive situation or task, whatever you want to call it. Despite also, I feel like I want to get a soundboard so that every time someone says the word pivot, I get a Ross background noise. Pivot! Okay, so Satch, talk to us about your COVID situation.
I mean, honestly, I feel that everything is different, but at the same time, I've a lot of friends and family and even clients or potential clients that I talk to or work with. I look at it in a pretty positive light, and I think that's helped me, and it's certainly helped. I've gotten that a lot from my fiance. I try to do as much self work as I can, so I start my day with meditation and journaling. And for anybody that doesn't do it, it's cheesy. It's like, yeah, great, happy, everything's fine. But it makes a huge difference for me. And with the COVID situation, it's like, I feel like a lot of people are having to go more inward and, think about things. So when I talk to clients, I'm not really talking to them as much about real estate. It's more just about, how are you doing? How is life? How has life changed? What is going on in your world? And then if it ends up, like leading into real estate, that's great. That's fine. But I'm not as concerned. And it's kind of worked to my advantage. Like I've been as busy or busier than I've ever been. And that's just basically due to the fact that the market, thankfully, is still really good in like Los Angeles and the greater LA area. But adjusting to the different rules and regulations with COVID now, you have to sign disclosure forms in order to enter properties. Everybody has to wear masks. You gotta, make sure that there's only a certain amount of people that can go in at a time. So a lot has changed, but I feel like the more that you just kind of can adapt and work with, the evolving and ever-changing times and technology, the faster you can, move forward and get things done, especially for your clients. So a lot of clients want to see a home, or they're really interested, but you just have to give them the information in real time. So I've been doing a lot more FaceTime showings or video showings where I'll go record properties, send it to them. And it's great because they don't have to leave their house or be bothered with the work that they're doing with their daily life and jobs. And it makes it super easy for them. And I don't mind doing it because it's what I do. So I've noticed that, yeah, a lot has changed, but I felt like if I can just keep up with it, I'm doing okay.
Oh, that's good. And it's interesting because I feel like, I get very mixed reviews about the real estate situation, because some people say I'm super busy, busier than I've been in a while. Some people say like it's dead, like dead. And I just noticed that it's happening more from market to market. And again, I'm hardly a real estate expert, but it's really interesting to see, because you're so busy, how then you had to sort of, rush in to get certain pivots going, because you're like, I have to show the house. How are we going to do it?
Right.
Okay, so Sarah, talk to us about your COVID situation.
So ours has been similarly affected to Nikki's in that we were going to do a ton of events this year. A big part of my job is typically to go out to events and speak about STNCE and share that message. I'll go out to universities, women's groups, do a lot of talking with mortgage brokers because Equitable, our parent company, is very, very married to the broker sphere. So we do a lot of that. So that's it. It changed on a dime, and it's so surreal. But what's great, I guess, if you could say it's great, is that we have the technology to be able to pivot these things and and do virtual events. You know, I've done webinars, things like this, where, you know, it definitely looks different than standing up and seeing who's actually sitting there listening to you, but embracing that. And, you know, we talk about it all the time. If this happened 20 years ago, it really wouldn't have looked the same. And we're a little bit lucky that we have these technologies that allow us to kind of turn on a dime and say, you know what, we can do this. We can do it a different way. It's not going to look how we thought it would look, but it's going to be there. You know, we will still be doing a podcast that's coming soon from STNCE. We have a great guest lineup that in our pocket. I can't wait to do it. And, you know, we wanted to do it like Armchair Expert. We wanted to have the guests in the room with us, and we were going to do video, and we were going to do pictures of them with us. And we might not be able to do that anymore realistically, but it's about, okay, how can we still do it, still make it meaningful, and still get that content out in a way that really resonates with our audience. So that's been, and for me personally, I've been able to reach other departments in the bank and learn different things about different departments and help out where I can, which has been a great learning experience for me, and allowed me to exercise my brain in different ways, which always keeps me on my toes, because I think for the last 3 months, if it had been a monotonous day, I don't know what I would have done. You know, I talked to the cat. She doesn't talk back. That's
Wait, you don't hear the cat talking back?
I mean, not always.
Yeah, Baloo, I constantly hear Baloo talking back to me. Hey, Baloo, you want to go outside? What do you think I want to do? You think I want to stay here? You want me to think I want to go outside? That's like asking, do I want a treat? I want the treat. Give me the treat. It happens all the time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. There are those moments for sure. It depends on how many cocktails I've had.
Cocktails or cattails. Okay, so now thank you for that, everybody. But just before I get into the Q&A session, I just want to give some shout outs to people who shared out the video. I want to thanks to Alyssa, David, Sasha. Let's see who else has shared the video. Julian shared the video. Things not loading. I thank everybody on the show tonight for sharing the video. I think this is the first show where all three guests had already shared the video before we started. And if y'all watching out there could please share the video as well, that'd be fantastic. We want to make sure that as many eyeballs see these wonderful people as possible. And now we're going to get down into the questions. If you guys have a question for each other, just like cut me off. But first thing we want to know, Satch, Kim wants to know what your golf handicap is.
I am plus 1.7.
Plus 1.7. He's a lot better than me. I tried golfing for the first time in like 12 years and it did not go well. I was half blinded because I had super dry eyes and I couldn't keep my eyes open, but that definitely made it. That was exactly why.
Excuses.
I was like this the entire time. Like I could only keep my left eye open. And I was like, well, this is either going to make me like Happy Gilmore or it's just going to go like Popeye. Can you imagine Popeye trying to golf? His arms would get in the way. He's only got one eye open at any given time. You don't know if it's his good eye. Anyway, not about Popeye. Question for Nikki, and this is from Caitlin. So there's this is from Workland specifically.
Okay.
So there's going to be some Workland level
There's
sass.
two Caitlins.
Yes,
so.
I had to clarify. There's going to be some Workland level sass in this. Are you ready?
Okay, hit me.
She says, question for Nikki. You're obviously brave given your hair situation, but what is the scariest thing you've ever done in business?
Yeah, dark times over here. Scariest thing I've done in business. I'm not good at like answering questions on the fly like that because it's like I'll say something and then 5 days later I'll be like, oh, nuts, it was actually this.
The guys meet back here in 5 days.
Yeah, seriously. I guess off the top of my head, it would be kind of when I was first starting and I wanted to get products manufactured, so like enamel pins or patches, just because I can't physically make them here. Because it's like a lot of money up front and you don't know if you're going to sell the stuff or not. So I think just when I first started with that, and I mean, it's still relevant now. Like I just got a new design made and it's bigger and there's more colors. So it was more expensive, but I guess I have more confidence now that it'll be okay versus when I first kind of started it. And I'm like, well, this is a lot of money that I'm pouring into this and hopefully I can sell this stock. But that's kind of why I stay to like smaller things right now. Like I would love to get into more clothing because I love fashion, but that involves having a lot of stock because it's not a one size fits all approach. And like I'm in a 1-bedroom apartment, so I can't really have warehouse levels of stuff.
Just move into a warehouse.
True.
By the way, I'll tell everybody my favorite shirt Nikki has is just a shirt and just says "Tryin' and Cryin' across the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Easily my favorite one.
It's very applicable for these times.
Tryin' and Cryin', COVID edition.
I sold some right before this went down. Like there was a show at Nathan Phillips Square right before this hit, and people were buying it to like work out in and stuff. And now it's a whole other thing.
That's actually a great workout shirt. That's actually the best shirt to wear while you're working out. It's hilarious.
That comes men's XL.
It could.
Okay.
They're actually they're unisex because I have a bunch that just have words on them. But yeah, that's the problem with clothing is that you need to have, if it's different color variations, and then there's different inks that you're screen printing with, different sizes. So yeah.
Well, it sounds pretty scary. Okay, Satch, question for you is, do you have any market concerns over the next year in view of current pandemic?
So I've gotten that question a lot, and it honestly, I truly feel like it just depends on the market that you're in. I can speak to the work that I do here in the Los Angeles area and the Valley, which is just over the hill here. I've noticed not only has the market not gone down, it's actually gone up in a lot of different spots. But what I would say is to that, because like the crash that we all saw in 2008, a lot of that had to do with basically like there were no checks and balances as far as mortgage lending companies that were giving loans out to it's way more strict now. And to qualify, whether you're getting a conventional loan within the guidelines or you're getting a jumbo loan, it's far more strict. And so, but the interest rates are still really low, and you're seeing a lot of people realizing like even if the market does go down a little bit, because money is so cheap, it's really not a bad time to buy. And in certain areas, like in Ventura County, that's an area where you're right next to the beach, and it's like the last untapped kind of coastal beach town, and the prices are still relatively low. So the demand is really high, and you have new tech jobs like in Carpinteria, there's LinkedIn, Procore, there's all these new tech companies coming in. So there's a new, influx of all this new tech money. But in LA, you still have a lot of people that, fortunately have their jobs, they have steady income, and they are able to qualify. So I haven't really seen a change. And according to all the research and all the realtor.com and all the publications that I've been reading, until probably next year, we won't really see a change. And if we do, it'll be delayed just because of, it takes a long time for any foreclosure, short sales. A lot of forgiveness loans and banks are working with people if they can't pay their mortgage, and it'll be a delayed reaction to what's going on. I don't see it crashing in the next year. It may go down, and it certainly will go down in certain markets, but overall, I don't see it changing a whole lot.
I feel like there just must be such a dichotomous split of like there's people like crash it. And other ones are like, please don't crash, please don't crash, please don't crash, please don't crash.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people that I talk to that say, oh, well, I'll just wait until the market goes way down to buy something. But then I just try to give them the facts. When the market crashes or goes way down, that doesn't mean the interest rates are going to be the same. It also doesn't mean the inventory of buyers and sellers. There may be more demand because more people are trying to buy cheaper homes. And there may be less inventory because sellers go, well, I don't want to sell my house right now because it's not worth as much. So you have to just kind of weigh out all the options. And I would highly recommend that you work with an agent that can give you all that information to make your decision.
Okay, makes sense. Sarah, the question for you is what do you think is the most critical piece of information? If you had to pick one, it's like picking a favorite child, I know. But if you had to pick out one critical piece of information to share out into the world that STNCE tries to teach and promote and all those things, what would that be?
Oh, that is hard. That is like Sophie's choice. I would say that we need to do a better job at teaching our children, sharing that information young. I share this story, when I do a talk on imposter syndrome, and when I share this, I remember my first interaction with my mother talking about money. And to give you some background, I grew up in the 80s, and my mom was the main breadwinner. She handled all of our finances. She balanced the checkbook when checks were still a thing. And my dad stayed home with us, and he was the house husband, which everybody thought was so hilarious back then, because it was a foreign concept. So I saw my mom balancing the checkbook, paying bills, and I asked her what she was doing, and her response was, "It's none of your business." And I don't know if it's because she and my dad, they went bankrupt when I was small, and that was something that they struggled with. So I'm not sure if it was that embarrassment that caused her to react that way, but it definitely followed me, because when I was in my early 20s, I still had that, in my mind, money's none of my business. I'm a woman, I'm going to marry someone, and the husband's going to take care of that. And these archaic thoughts just kind of kept echoing. So I really think that if we do a better job teaching our children from a young age, and they're starting to bring it into the curriculum, I think it's baby steps, but that's the piece of information that I think really, really needs to come out, is that we need to make talking about money less taboo, because it's not something that everybody deals with it. So why aren't we talking about it more openly and more honestly with especially our families?
May I interject? I was waiting to ask you a question, Sarah. I was going to ask you, like, for the stuff that you're working on now, what is the age group because I was curious to know if you guys have like programs that you can work with, younger teenagers, even children, because I feel like that's something that Alyssa and I talk about all the time. Like, how did we not know this? We should be talking about this way earlier and like have this information, because we're so we feel like this is something that we should have learned a long time ago.
Yeah, they don't teach it in school. Like, I don't need to know what a mitochondria is. I would have loved to know how to do taxes.
Exactly. No, so I would say that our largest cohort are millennials, and then we have some that are older than that, and then we definitely have a small smattering of Zoomers as well. Really scary statistic is that we all know that women tend to outlive men, and women are leaving their financial advisors about 6 months after a spouse passes away, because they just don't have that relationship with them. So, we're hoping to kind of reach that generation as well, as much as we can. We're doing our work with financial advisors and mortgage brokers to hopefully improve the way they can communicate with their clients, to really nurture that relationship with both parties and not just the husband. But when it comes to kids, there are articles on STNCE.ca about talking to your kids about finance. We had Lise Wilcox write that piece. It's fantastic. And it really talks about, her approach is, I pay bills with my kids. I don't keep them secret from them. And you know, her kids actually, she says in the article that her 3 little girls get excited when bills come because, you know, they see it as a gratefulness, a gratitude exercise. You know, we're going to pay this internet bill because it's giving us Netflix. We're going to pay, you know, the electricity bill because it gives us light. And I think that's such a fantastic approach because it's not this big scary thing that we're talking about. It's just, this is what you have to do when you're an adult and you deal with money, and those kids, I truly believe, will be better set up for life that way.
Yeah. I know when it was like, you know, a lot of marital arguments are in regards to finances and money, and it's just kind of like a hidden thing where, oh, don't worry about it, you know, you're too young, you know, don't be bothered by it. And we're like, okay, well, why are you guys fighting? You know, it doesn't make sense to us. And just explain a way where you kind of learn and understand, well, these are the things that as you get older, you have to deal with. I think it's a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, something that Kim, our founder, says all the time, she says, you know, if I talk to one more woman who, you know, leaves her husband or the husband leaves her and says, oh, I had no idea, you know, what our financial situation is. It frustrates her to no end because it's, you know, why didn't you know? Why, you know, this is something that's a partnership. And yeah, it's not the easiest conversation, but I find that some couples have an easier time talking about sex than they do talking about money. And that boggles my mind, honestly.
Well, I'm glad to know that they're both at least in some kind of the same category. I did not know that was a thing.
Hopefully not too closely married.
So we have one more question for Nikki. Before I get to it, I just want to say Caitlin has been asking a lot and commenting a bunch. Firstly, according to her, mitochondria are the basis for money, financial fact. Caitlin, if you're still watching, STNCE is going to be doing a virtual event soon, at least one. So I believe will the event be free, Sarah?
Probably.
Okay. Jolly good. So
Saturday it'll be a small donation to charity.
There you go. And according to Caitlin, her parents talk about neither thing. So she's thankful for that. But her question, she had another question. This is the last question I'm going to have for Nikki. Nikki, in future, how do you expect to further monetize your dopeness? She'd like a chibi Nikki character that you could put on a shirt. For those who don't know, chibi is like the Japanese term for something like small, and it's a small, cute version of yourself or whatever the thing you're talking about. So Caitlin wants to know if that's going to be a thing.
What was the question there? If I'm going to put myself on a shirt?
Are you going to make a chibi Nikki version, a chibi Nikki shirt because Caitlin wants one?
I hadn't thought of it. That's more of a custom thing.
What a great business
idea. Got to give the
idea.
people what they want.
Exactly.
I don't know. Like I said, I would love to get more into clothing, so that is on my future radar. Right now, I'm sewing a satin kind of purse, but yeah, it's a lot of work too. So
No, I get that. But she says you should call it Nibby.
I'll try to remember that.
I'll write it down.
Thank
okay.
You.
So if anybody has any other questions for each other, let me know. And if not, yes, no.
I was curious for Nikki, when do you keep track of who's buying what and like where those sales are coming from?
Yes, and it's a pain in the butt. So I just started doing that like late last year. Because again, like spreadsheets are not my thing. So I had some friends help me out, which was amazing. And we kind of came up with this master spreadsheet, which helps me track everything because it's not just one platform I'm selling on. Otherwise it would be like, if I was just selling on Shopify, I could just download the sales report at the end of the month. But since I'm selling on Etsy, on Shopify, in this store, in that store, if it's a commission thing and the cut's different, like just tracking all that, we just started doing that last year. So that's, cool. I'm sure will pay off in the future. So then it's not just like, oh no, I can't handle any of this anymore.
Trying and crying.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Okay. So that was the Q&A session, and we're going to finish off with the game I like to play called 30 Seconds. It's a very easy Very straightforward, quick fire game. Each round is 30 seconds. That's why it's called 30 seconds. I'm going to be reading these cards filled with general things, and I'm going to be describing them to you. And y'all have 30 seconds to guess as many as possible. We have the counter in the other room who will be telling me how many each of you get right. And then we will discuss the winner at the end, who will win the fabulous prize of absolutely nothing. I mean, the prize of, huge, amazing prize is definitely coming. That's definitely a thing.
Bragging rights.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, we're going to do a practice round so everybody learns how it is. And if you know what I'm saying, just scream it out. All right, 30 seconds starting. 3, 2, 1. Okay, it's the nursery rhyme about those vermin who can't see.
Three-Blind Mice.
Correct. He's the novelist who writes really scary books.
Stephen
King.
Yes. What did I just say the name of this game is?
30 seconds.
Correct. She's married to Ryan Reynolds.
Blake
Blake?
Lively.
Yes, that's it, Blake Lively. Okay, and the full name of, okay, that's time, sorry. Okay, so that's the game. I think everybody did a really solid job there. I don't know, y'all were doubting yourselves, but I can tell you were doing pretty well. Now this is the real stuff. This is round 1 coming at you. Okay.
Rounds are.
There are 3 rounds.
Okay.
Okay. We are going to start in 3, 2, 1. It's the place where they make pasta and pizza all the time.
Italy.
Correct. It's the cookie that's 2 black cookies on the outside and the white stuff in the middle.
Oreo.
Correct. The show that the Fonz was on, Sunday, Monday.
Happy Days.
Correct. Okay, not Pepsi, but
Cola.
Coke.
Coca-Cola.
that's
Coke,
it. Yeah. Coca-Cola is the answer. Kim Kardashian is married to him.
Kanye West.
Correct. The Hunchback of Notre Dame, his real name.
Quasimodo?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, and that is time. Wow, well done, everybody. According to Caitlin, I just put pretty women in the trivia. Ask me about Emma Watson. Emma Watson, if you're watching, please come on the show. I love you. Okay, we're waiting for the points to come through. That should be here any second. Okay, so Nikki got 1, Satch got 2, and Sarah got 3. Nikki, it's whoever got it first.
I swear I said stuff. Maybe my mic wasn't.
Listen, if it was just me counting, you could think there was something
Who's
sinister.
counting?
My sister.
I thought Nick got 4, but that's just me.
See?
I agree.
This is fixed.
Listen, it's only round 1. We got plenty of time. Oh my God, this is gonna be hilarious. Ready? 3, 2, 1. The Disney movie with Emma Watson in it. Taylor's
Beauty and the
oldest
Beast.
time. Yes.
Beauty and the Beast. I said it first.
Yes. Okay. The show where they ask questions and you're gonna get a lot of money. He was on Slumdog.
Jeopardy.
No, the one that's the Slumdog movie.
Who wants to be a millionaire?
Correct. Okay. The beer where they were doing the frogs in the commercial.
Budweiser.
Yes. The Luke Skywalker's master. Help me, blank. You're my only hope.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Correct.
Did I not get that?
The dejection in Satch's eyes when he didn't get Obi-Wan Kenobi. Honesty time, Satch. How many times have you seen Star Wars?
Like 47,000 times.
How do we feel about the latest series, the latest 3 movies?
Not my favorite. Alyssa doesn't even like Star Wars, and it's really hurtful.
And has she watched them? Has she at least watched them?
She tries and then just fails. But I love all that stuff. She doesn't. I mean, I guess she likes Lord of the Rings too, but not like me.
Did she start with the original or with the prequels? Because I feel like if you start with the prequels,
No, I tried to get her to go original, and I don't know. She's just not a fan.
Yeah, it's
Harry Potter. That's her thing.
I mean, that's solid. I can respect that. It's just, Star Wars is Star Wars. Okay, so that round, by the way, Nikki got 2, Satch got 1, and Sarah got 1. So
Okay.
the
Yeah,
current
that's
thing
right.
is Nikki and Satch are tied with 3 each, and Sarah has 2. Oh wait, sorry, no, sorry.
No, Sarah has 3.
6. Sorry,
Wait,
4.
what?
Sorry, I'm dumb.
What
I'm dumb.
fake
Ignore me.
news are you
4.
throwing out here?
4. I counted wrong.
I
1, 2, 3,
didn't.
4. Okay, 4. So it's 3, 3, and 4. 3, 3, and 4. But the good news is that round 3 is worth double, thus rendering the first 2 rounds absolutely pointless.
Okay.
Look how these games go.
Yep. I got to do my good. And now round 3. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. The Keanu Reeves movie where he dodges the bullets.
Matrix.
Matrix.
Correct. In Egypt, the body of water in Egypt.
The Nile River.
Denial.
Yes. Okay. He's the really skinny rapper. He sounds like Charlie Brown's dog.
Snoop Dogg.
Yes. It's a card game. Gin blank.
Rummy.
Yes. Okay. And I don't know who that is. Okay. And that is time. Okay. So we're now waiting on the very stressful, anticipated, oh my God, who's going to win it round? Alyssa and Caitlin have been going bananas while we were playing, by the way. Caitlin says, lol, you nerd, Zach. Maybe 48 will be the one that sticks. Alyssa is going bananas because we said the words Harry Potter. And according to Caitlin, Emma Watson is the winner. Okay, so the final round, Nikki got 1, which translates to 2. Sarah got 1, which translates to 2. So Nikki has 5 and Sarah has 6. But Satch got 3, giving him 6 points in the final round, making Satch the winner.
Sorry, I'm sorry, guys.
Hey, Satch.
You know what?
Yeah.
That was a very
Wow, that's so enthusiastic.
you know, Satch. Yeah, you know what? You know, we got to support our friends in these dark times.
I'm not going to be able to sleep at night now.
I know I got more than that. Sasha cheated. Can't sleep. Didn't get
Just
points.
like I'm gonna watch this recap to see like if my audio was in when I thought it was. Pausing it, rewinding it frame by frame.
I was Google searching everything on my phone, so.
Buddy, if you can Google search that fast in 30
Yeah, I'd be
seconds, like you
impressed.
deserve the win.
Yeah, true.
Okay, so that was the last segment we want to go through. I want to say thank you to everybody watching. I want to say thank you to our 3 magnificent guests. I'm going to give you guys one last chance to plug yourselves and have everybody find out how they can reach you. And this time we'll start with Nikki.
Sure. So if you're on Instagram, it's at Glitterbones Boutique. And if you want to check out the website, www.glitterbonesboutique.com. And Sarah, I'm going to probably reach out to you after just about what you do to educate me a little more.
Great transition. Hey, Sarah, how would Nikki reach you?
So you can find us a multitude of ways. You can find us on our website at STNCE.ca. Don't forget the A, so it's STNCE.ca. You can reach us on Instagram at stance.ca, Twitter, Facebook, and they're all the same address. So please do reach out and check us out. And don't forget to sign up, because if you sign up on stance.ca, you get access to stuff other people don't get.
Ooh. Mystery prize. A boat's a boat, but the mystery box could be anything. It could even be a boat. Hey, Satch, how do we reach you?
Everybody can reach me at The Real Estate Golfer on Facebook and Instagram, and then my personal website is therealestategolfer.com.
Phenomenal. Well, thank you everybody for being here. Thank you everybody for watching. Thank you everybody for sharing. Please do keep sharing it out because we want to get as many eyeballs on this as possible. This is Zach Rudnitsky from InSync Marketing. This has been Business Casual, and check us out next week because we're going to have another show with another set of amazing guests, and we'll check you guys out next week.
Thank you, Zach. Nice
Thank
to meet you.
you.
Laters. Thanks for
Yeah,
everyone
nice
coming
to
out.
meet you guys.
Nice to meet you too.